everyone. Welcome to Epic Conversation number 10 of 2020. I'm here with my friend and fellow coach, Sarah. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi, Heather. Thanks for having
Hey.
me.
So, Sarah and I just spent a week together with a group in Hawaii. So, we got tattoos together. So, we are permanently bonded in ink for life. So, that's a special kind of friend. So, I'm so excited to spend an hour talking about our favorite things together today.
Me
So,
too.
yeah, so
I was gonna say I'll show my tattoo, but it's like
yeah, you'd have to like
I'll
get
have to
naked.
get naked for that.
So, how about we start off with you telling us a bit about you and what kind of work you do as a coach?
Sure. So I'm a personal and business coach. So I work with, male and female. I would say my clients are 50-50. And I work a lot in corporations as well. Uh, so personal business coaching, in corporations, I do a lot of conflict resolution. My background was in market research, so I worked at a couple corporations doing market research for about 10 days, 10 years. Um, so when I switched over to coaching, it only made sense to kind of bridge the gap and do both. And I also have clients that come to my house so that I coach over the phone, over Zoom or Google Meet or whichever it is, that have nothing to do with business.
Mhm,
So I do a little bit of both.
mhm. Awesome. I got to witness some of your coaching with different people on the retreat, and I there's not many people that I would be excited to work with. Like I hear all these people, different coaching all the time, right? Different philosophies, and I was like, Sarah, yeah, she gets it. She would get me. I had that feeling, right,
Mm,
about you,
mm.
which is such a gift. Um, so I'm interested in how you got personally into doing inner work, right? Was there some event in your life, or if you look back, how? Because we're not, born this way. We're not all born into families that are kind of self-reflective and into personal growth. So what's the story for you?
Yeah, I think most families are actually not into
Right.
that kind of stuff, right?
Yes.
I always say no one teaches us how to meditate. No one teaches us how to look inward. No one teaches us how to handle money. No one teaches us any of those like things that we need day to day in life. Um, we even in school we were taught things that we don't even remember or we don't even
Yeah.
use. Um, for me, my family is actually pretty spiritual. Both my parents are spiritual. My dad's very spiritual, uh, but not as in like not consciously is the
Hmm.
best way for me to put it. Um, like now I connect the dots of, oh, that's what he was trying to say when he said that, and he probably doesn't even know it,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, or maybe he does, who knows? But I didn't hear it that way from him anyways.
Hmm.
Um, I remember the other day I was thinking about it, and I was always really, really interested in philosophy. That
Hmm.
was a subject where I did really, really well, philosophy and math. Um, I just have a very curious mind. I'm always very intrigued of why people think the way they think or do the things they do. So before that, I was telling you earlier, I was in market research, and market research is a field where we try and understand why people buy the things they buy.
Hmm.
So it requires a lot of psychology. So I used to had like focus groups and moderate um, interviews and things like that. We used to go to people's homes and observe and see what they have in their cabinets and how they order dinner and how they communicate and how they interact and how they make decisions, purchase buying decisions. Um, and I did surveys online as well to try like quantify the qualitative work. Um, so I kind of like always was in it, whether I wanted it or not. But when I really got into it was when I got sick back in 2015. I I got really sick. I had bronchitis and I damaged my vocal cords and I couldn't speak. Um, I lost my voice, couldn't speak for about a year. So it was a whole journey for me. I was living in LA back then and had a good job, good life, good career, good car, good house. I was working a lot and I was partying a lot. So when I wasn't working, I was partying. So I was going 200 miles an hour. Uh, doing a little bit of yoga here and there, but nothing really spiritual, um, or nothing. I wasn't really inquiring as to what am I doing, just going
Yeah.
blindly.
Hmm.
Um, so losing my voice kind of like forced me to stop. It's like you go 200 miles an hour and you hit a wall, boom, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Uh, so I had to, because I had to go through surgery and then I had to go on voice rest for months. I was speaking nothing. So I had my whole identity had to collapse. Anything related to my work was gone, right? 10 years of work was gone. Partying, boyfriends,
Mhm.
all, social life, my whole life as I knew it was gone.
Mhm.
Um, so then I was meditating one day and running Kenya in LA, and then I was like, God, please give me a sign or something, because I got really depressed.
Mhm.
And God was like, go hang out with monks. They don't speak. And I was like, oh, okay, that sounds like a good idea. So I got a backpack and um, put a few clothes in it and left. I went to Hawaii first, um, and then I went to Korea, and then I started temple hopping to Asia. I used to I used to bar hop back in the day, and then now I'm like temple hopping
That's
around Asia. So I'm like hanging out with these monks, and for the first time, I really asked myself, "Who am I?" Like really,
amazing.
because
Yeah.
it's a very isolating not to be able to speak and being in a whole different continent where I didn't know anybody. It's so far from my family or friends or anything I knew as familiar. Um, so that's why I started asking those questions and really inquiring within: Who am I? What am I doing here? What's the purpose of all of this?
Mm.
Uh, so all those emotions come up, right? Like the anger, the sadness, the frustrations, the whatever I didn't have time to deal with before
Yeah.
came up, because I was really good at, I don't like this job, I'll go get another job. I don't
Uh-huh.
like this boyfriend, I'm a down payment, go get another one.
Uh-huh.
I don't like this city, I'm gonna go to another one.
Yeah.
Just kind of like moving on, moving on, moving on, which is a good thing, but I never really processed anything either. So it's
Yeah.
good to move on and not linger.
Mhm.
Um, but it's also good to contemplate and understand.
Yeah.
Uh, so there you go. I was 32, so I couldn't move on anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I had to look at all that stuff and deal with it. And I was cleaning my temple, like they said in it.
Yes.
So I started taking the garbage out, uh, and did that for 6 months. I hang out there for about 6 months, um, and that was that. So that was the beginning, right? Like Steve
Yeah.
Hardison says, it's a mountain with no top.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that beginning is a little. That's why I was saying at first, they don't teach us any of this stuff as children. Imagine we've been doing that all along. I
Yeah.
don't.
I wonder if it's just part of the life cycle to have these questions later, I think as a possibility. Like maybe you could start from the beginning and always have your trash taken out your whole life, maybe, or maybe building up trash a bit is part of the process. I don't know. Maybe that's just two ways to do it, right? I don't know.
Absolutely. Who knows?
Yeah.
I stopped asking why me, because I started realizing why not me.
Yeah.
Uh, so, um, yeah, there are different paths to each their path.
Yes. Yes.
Um, yeah. So
Yeah. So
that's how it
that's
started.
that's how it got kicked off. And that is a pretty dramatic story, losing your voice.
It's really dramatic. I always said that, like, couldn't we have done this a little more gracefully,
Maybe not when you're going 200 miles an hour. I don't know.
Right? I know, like, I admit that I'm pretty stubborn, and
Yeah.
it does require me hitting a wall to
Yeah.
look at something. So that's just what I needed. It is what it is.
I've been thinking about the the major events in my life recently, and I found that I consider all events neutral spiritually, right? And I love to find if I have judgment that this is only bad, I love to find the good and vice versa, right?
Mhm.
It helps me like have a more balanced perspective. And I realized lately that the best thing that ever happened to me was my grandfather taking his own life when I was a teenager. It was the most horrible thing that I'd ever had happen to me, or not to me, right? Around me in my life up until then. But I found that event the other day because I was like, when did I start having this love for life that I have? Like I noticed that I have it. When did that start? And I was like, the first person I can remember dying is my grandfather, and it was pretty dramatic and it was surprising. And I remember being extremely sad, but then all of a sudden waking up to like, wait, that's just how it happens. You just die and then it's over. I was like 14 or something. And I was like, oh my gosh, then today's kind of special, you know?
Mm,
Like being alive, it's like that fragile, you know? And
mm,
so it's the most dramatic thing that had happened in my life up to that point. Maybe the first extremely dramatic thing, but it also is the best thing that ever happened because it woke me up. And I literally am a person every day that loves life,
mm.
no matter what is going on, you know? So I kind of hear the same thing in your story about your voice, right? It's like the most dramatic thing, like kicked off this new it's like the hardest thing you would run through in your life. And also, like, look where it's taken you. It woke you up.
Yeah, because it's death is also death of certain parts in you, right? Or
Yes.
different identities.
Yeah.
So, and that death or those deaths, they're not tangible, like it's not someone that disappeared, like it's not someone you could touch that you can no longer touch,
Yeah.
but it's something inside of you that starts to die and he doesn't want to let go. It's kind of like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like holding on, and you're like, okay, I love you, but it's okay, thank you, you got me all the way here,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
it's different parts of you that die all the time.
Yeah.
And as long as you don't accept those debts, they hold you back.
Yeah.
And it's you stay in the past. But death is a very interesting concept.
Yeah. And I like to think of it like the deaths that you're talking about are little self deaths, or the illusion of self, right? Deaths. Um, we can look at it as like a trauma, or we can look at it as a new freedom, right? Or maybe it's both. We can hold them both, one in each hand, right? Or a little, that was a tragedy, but it's also a path to freedom. And maybe those are actually two sides of the same thing, right? Tragedy and
Mhm.
freedom.
They are. It's a world of duality,
Hmm.
right? Everything everything's got two sides.
Yeah,
I always say pick the truth that serves you. Uh,
yeah.
it's not that this is not true. It's not that it's
Hmm.
not tragic. It's not that it's not painful. It's not, you know,
Yeah.
yes, it is painful. Yes, it is hard. Yes,
Mhm.
I'm not trying to deny your experience or your feelings.
Yeah.
Uh, and this is also true. So it's not a but.
Yes,
And
yes.
it's also true. Like you're saying, the death of my grandfather allowed me to see this, this, and that. So it's both are true, pick the
Mhm.
truth that serves you.
Yeah, I call it where are you going to play, right? Are you going to play when you wake up every day? Are you going to play in the tragedy of it? Like, that's cool. I don't care. Do what you want, right? Like, yes, play in there until it's not useful anymore. Sure. But then there's also another area over here where you can play, right?
Right.
Doesn't mean you, like you said, it doesn't mean you have to deny that it was a tragedy, right? But what if, you also could have one foot in the side where it's a liberating experience too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like you said, there are two sides to each thing.
Yeah,
There's got to be two sides to each thing. It's duality. We live in duality.
yeah.
The sun, the moon, the feminine, the masculine.
Mhm.
Uh, it's always those two sides, and we
Yeah,
play, like you say, and we play with them.
yeah. That's what we're waking up in the morning every day and doing is playing with all the circumstances of life, right? And
Right.
so I'm interested. We started a little bit because this is what we do, right? Dive into inner work wisdom, right? But I'm interested in if you looked back or even just now in your life, what piece or couple pieces of inner work wisdom impact you the most, right? Like what did you learn first that changed your life, or what do you bring to mind every day that is really important to how you operate? What's important to you?
Presence.
Mm. Mhm.
The For me, the key is presence,
Mhm.
and that's what the monks taught me.
Mhm.
If you're just present, you'll see the picture.
Mhm.
If you're not, you kind of like it sucks you in,
Mhm.
right? And then it's like if you're looking at this ring, right? If you like sucked in it, you only see in the blue, and you
Yeah.
think it's blue,
Yeah.
right? And you just like dove
Well,
deep
sucked
as you
into the
can.
story, right? Is that
Correct,
what you mean?
exactly.
Yeah, sucked
Yes.
into the story. Yeah.
But if you stay present, you can see the whole thing, right? You can see that it's a ring. You could see that it has different colors. You could see that it's wrapped around a finger. You could see that,
Mhm.
you know. So if you stay present, um, you can witness
Mhm.
instead of judge. Um, that's why meditation for me is really, really important. Uh, it's presence is like when you close your eyes and you see that the black behind your eyelids,
Mhm.
and you're like, oh wow, this is me, right? This is me
Yeah.
who's watching through these eyes.
Yeah.
Whether my eyelids are closed or open, I'm still here present. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
My presence doesn't change.
Mhm.
And from that place, I can witness everything happening around me. From that
Yeah.
place, everything becomes neutral. That's why you see, monks are very peaceful because
Yeah.
they always at this neutral place.
Yeah.
They don't go positive, they don't go negative.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
They're just neutral,
Mhm.
and they just stay there. And that's, for me, that's the grace of God,
Mhm.
where it's just like in the universe, things are just happening. Or there are
Right.
explosions, they're like all kinds of things are happening are not within our control,
Yeah.
and they just happen. So from that presence, you can just witness everything. And then, from there, we can create something, right?
Yes. So to me, getting practiced at presence is getting practiced at having a home base,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like coming home to yourself, right? And like you said, I love the word witness, right? Because then you can step into wonder, into curiosity, right? Don't you think the witness is like watching to be curious instead of,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, watching to judge or watching to adjust or change or to impart it's what it already knows, the witness is just curious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so when we come back to home base, to presence, right, we can step into curiosity. And that
I
is where we can make a difference, right? That's when we don't have to be the victim anymore. That's when things aren't just happening to us anymore, right? We can say, huh, what's going on here?
it's it makes me smile because thinking back about all these monks from that place of witness, they're just like curious and like being intrigued, and they're always smiling,
Uh-huh.
right? Because like they have these voices too inside of them, you know, all these, but they're just witnessing and they smile at whatever the voice is saying.
Yes.
You know, they don't judge it, they don't try and fight it or change it or anything.
Or even
They
believe it,
believe
right?
it. They
Step
smile
number
at it.
one, yeah, you don't have to believe the thoughts that are in your head. That's a wonderful first. That's, I feel like, is the first awakening, right? When you realize, like, oh, I had a thought, and I can say, nah, I'm not going to believe that one.
Right. You have the freedom to do that. And you have the freedom to smile at it too. Like you become friends with what's happening.
Yeah.
Instead of doing this resistance, you can like just gracefully watching and smiling. Uh it's like when you watch your children, right?
Yeah.
And you see
Yeah.
them doing all kinds of things and you just smile at it. You
Right?
know.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And that's the beauty of witnessing.
Mhm.
Um you know Ram Dass, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ram Dass is one of my favorites.
Mhm.
Uh, and you see, like even at the end, towards the end, he had the stroke and everything, and he's just like
He
always
found the
smiling.
neutrality in it. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? He's just always smiling. He says things and he just cracks up, and
Yes.
he always says, "I can't believe I just said that. Look at the thought I just had. Isn't that hilarious?"
Yes. Yeah, there's a, if you haven't seen it, anyone who's watching, there's a, on Netflix. I don't remember
Uh,
what it's called, Coming Home or something. Like,
there's a documentary about him. Yeah.
yeah, and it's not too long. It's pretty short, but it's about him after he had his stroke, and he went through his time of being angry about it,
Hmm.
and feeling helpless, and then he was just kind of like, "Oh my gosh, I never hardly depended on anyone my whole life, and now I'm getting taken care of every minute. This is kind of awesome.
Right.
Wow, I can trust people. Wow, I can't believe I never did that before, you know?"
Yeah. And it's, I want to, it's something good you said there that he got angry about it at first,
Mhm.
because I don't want people to think that, oh, you don't get any of
Angerless.
these feelings
Right.
or anything like
Yeah.
that. Not all of these feelings happen. Anger, sadness, jealousy, all of that, it's normal.
Yeah.
Uh, Even when you have them gracefully. I'm
Right.
angry. Okay, I'm angry. That's I'm allowed. That's okay. It's
Yeah.
as long as you're not beating people up or acting on that anger, right? You just
Yeah.
honor any feeling that comes up.
Mhm.
They're all feelings are your children, and
That's
all
beautiful.
feelings are indicative of something.
Yes.
There's not a bad feeling. They're all just indicative, always indicative of your thinking.
Yeah.
Uh, Mostly your subconscious thinking or story that's trying to emerge, so that the energy can be transformed. So there's an energy that wants to be transformed, and it's showing up in a form of anger or sadness or whatever it is. Uh, so I know nobody likes to feel angry per se. It doesn't feel good, and when
Mhm.
you're in it, you can't wait to get out of it.
Yeah.
Uh, but I try to remind myself that okay, I'm upgrading, you know.
Ah, I love that. It's when you have access to the to being the witness, and you're practiced at being curious about your anger, that is an opportunity for upgrade, right?
It
It's
is.
potent opportunity. Like this right
Exactly.
here is an opening to something inside me that's ready to heal, that's ready to shift or
Right.
expand. I like to use the word expand, right? Like
Expand.
to, because I think it's an expansion when we only see the bad, and now we see the good and the bad. Good, bad, I don't like those words, but right. um that's, it's not like a switching from it, it's an expansion, right? And
It is.
that's what's like when you're angry or upset or any of these things, um it's this potent opportunity to expand your understanding of yourself and the world, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the more you allow it, the easier and quicker the process is. The more you're like hating, I don't want to be angry, or like The more you
Yes.
think it's happening outside of you, or someone is doing it to you, instead of going
Yes.
inside and real, you're doing this.
Yeah.
It's two forces. It's physics.
Yep.
It's two forces going against each other, and you kind of like, so you stay there longer. But if you kind of like allow it and embrace it, this is grace, then it becomes grace.
Yes.
Grace is soft, and it allows the anger to open up, and
Yeah.
then to create a new story and merge it within the self and love it.
Right. Create a new story. So I'll tell you a practice that I do, and you can tell me if you have something similar. When somebody annoys me, right? Or if I think I'm having judgment, right? Like there's a person out there that's annoying me or making me mad, or I don't like how a country is handling something. It could be any scale, right? I look at it and I feel all the emotions come up, and I have the thoughts like, I'm never talking to this person again, or I'm getting away from this, or I know what they should do better. I watch all that happen. And then I think, whoa, 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 this is all the same universe. We're all the same. Time to find that. Let's pinpoint the thing in that situation or that person that I hate or that's driving me bonkers and find it in myself,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they did X, Y, and Z, and that makes them X, Y, and Z, right? And so I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, here we go. And I find it in myself. And I have yet to be able to not find it in myself, to not be able to find it in myself. Every single time something annoys me about somebody, right? I find it in me too. And it's fast, really easily I do, right? And it that practice puts me on back on their team, right? Because then it's like me too, man. You know, actually. Yeah,
Yeah,
me too.
yeah. And that me too is then that's compassion, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And uh, I do the same, and I love this practice. And I
Mhm.
was actually thinking about it this weekend, uh, how it's always what I do to me, right? So
Uh-huh.
before I used to think about it like, oh, they do this, or like whenever I'm judging someone,
Yeah.
right? They do this. Let me find out how I do it to others as well,
Oh,
right?
right. Yeah. Yeah.
But what I realize, it's not even how I do it to others as well. What I noticed just this past weekend is, let me realize how I do it to me.
Right. Because
You
it's
know,
all the same, right?
right? So how am
Yeah.
I speaking to me?
Uh-huh.
That's you know. So if I'm judging them as um, not, you know, whatever. I can't come up with an example now. Anything. I'm
Yeah.
doing that to myself.
Yeah.
Right? Like if I'm looking at someone and like they're too hard on that person, and I'm
Yeah.
judging them. They're too hard on that person. That's actually a
Yes.
good example for me. Oh my God, they're so hard
Yeah,
on
they're being so hard on that other person. How rude.
right. How
Yeah.
rude.
Yeah.
And I look like I'm hard on me.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
even like, before it's like, oh, I'm hard on X, Y, and Z as well. Well,
Yeah.
obviously that's my doing because that's who I'm being. So I'm
Right.
looking into my being. The
Right.
doing is me doing it to someone.
Yeah.
Right before, I used to look at that kind of doing. Now I'm like, okay,
No.
how the
Yeah.
being, meaning how am I being with me? Oh, I'm
Yes.
being that I am hard on myself.
Uh-huh.
And I quickly, okay, I forgive myself for judging myself as I'm being hard on myself. Forgive myself for judging myself as my new truth is I am soft and kind towards me.
Right. Right. No, I think the opening to inner work is the relationship with self, right?
It is.
Because we can start with relationship to other people, but that can get um mixed up a bit. But when you just start with your relationship with yourself, there's like nowhere else to look for fault, right?
Right.
So for me, I love to start inner work with like, how do you speak with yourself, right? How do you relate to yourself? How do you love yourself? When you're witnessing yourself, because don't you think when you first start to witness yourself and you hear all the things, then come in all the judgments, right? oh, I can't believe I'm like that. Right?
Right. You judge the judgment.
You judge. Yeah, I judge me for having the judgments. I still do it. I'm still
Yeah.
like, I've been telling myself not to call myself stupid for 10 years now. And I did it again. Holy moly, I'm stupid. And look, right? Like, I did it. It's like the cycle. So that's the most potent place to start. And it affects everything. Right? You were just saying how you find the same things, the way you relate to other people, you also relate to yourself the
Mhm.
same in the same ways. And
Yeah.
it's the same, right?
Yeah. It's the same. And Ram Dass says we all walk in each other home.
Mhm.
And I love that saying because what I take from it is we all walk each other home in the sense that I show you by me triggering you, I'm showing you what's inside of you, and
Yes.
vice versa. And that's how we walk each other home. I'm showing you something inside of you that you need to transform so that you get closer to home. And
Yes.
so, and you do that for me, and the other person does that, so that's how we are social people. That's how we need each other. Because without that, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so we show each other's the blind spots.
Yeah. It's not just mirrors. It's almost deeper than that. It's like we're, yeah, we just get access because it's not just a mirror. It's like we actually get direct access to those potent spots by interacting with you and then feeling in my body what I'm feeling. You
Right.
know, it's not
Yeah.
just a mirror. It's like it's access to
Yeah.
creating what's next. And like you said, if we're aware of what inner work is, and if we're, you know, have a practice of it, and maybe have some support, because it sure takes somebody else to support sometimes, doesn't it? Then we can.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
We all need a coach. I have a coach, like we only just need a coach to help us out, to talk to because we forget that we're humans. We are designed to forget. That's part of the experience.
Yeah.
Um, we almost have to forget
Yeah.
uh, for something new to be born again.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about coaching. That's the next thing on the list. I'm interested in um we don't have to nobody has a perfect definition of what a coach is. In fact, I just got this book to help me better define it. Um Ted, do you know this book? Power
No.
of Ted. I'll have to tell you about it. It's about moving from the like victim dynamic to an empowerment model. And super relevant to all of us, right? Because for me, that's that's the work, is getting into my agency, right? From life is happening to me, all this is happening to me. I Of course, that is, everything is a co-creation, right? So things are in the world happening outside of me, but finding my agency in it, and being able to act in a way that makes my life better and others' lives better, right? That's the goal of all the inner work, right? To
Mhm.
suffer less, to get more of what you want and help other people, right?
Right,
So
right.
I'm interested in what a coach is to you. Like, how long have you had a coach, and what difference has it made for you?
So the first time I hired a coach was when I came back from Asia.
Mhm.
Um, so as much as I enjoyed hanging out with monks and I learned so much from them, the sit with it type of model for me was a little too harsh.
Mhm.
Um, it works. Uh, your inner voice would always tell you, because that's the monks would just tell me, just sit with it, just sit with it.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I would, but like when things came up for me that were pretty harsh. Uh, I wish I could actually talk to someone about
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
So like I remember that I was molested as a child, right? I have
Wow.
no recollection of that. And then when it came up for me, it was hard for me to remember that.
Yeah.
Uh, So sit with it wasn't gonna cut it,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
Um, so when I came back from Asia, I was living in LA at the time. I hired a coach because one,
Mhm.
I didn't want to go back to market research as much as I loved it. I
Yeah.
felt that I was called to do something else. And two, there was still things that I needed to resolve that I just needed help with.
Yeah.
And so I hired this coach and we worked together for about 6 months and she was great. She helped me through a lot of things. And
Mhm.
one of the things for hiring her was what should I do?
Yeah.
So that's how I figured out that I wanted to be a coach.
Mhm.
Um, so I, in my coaching, I take that Eastern philosophy that I've learned with because I also have a very pragmatic brain, right? My brain loves math and physics and science and how the universe functions and all of that. Um, so I like to merge both. I like we were talking about duality earlier. I like to go from that masculine to that feminine, and then just go from pragmatic to sit with it,
Yeah.
try
Yeah.
try and understand it to just surrender.
Yeah.
It's like that balance, that dance between the two. Um, so I have clients, for example, who I can't mention the word God,
Mhm.
right? So I would talk about Einstein and Tesla and
Yeah.
because it's the law of the universe and physics and how energy works and things that are proven scientifically,
Yeah.
and they would get it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have clients who are very spiritual, and so I would talk in terms of God and grace and religious texts and monks' words, and
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so I trained with Tony Robbins too. I did his school, so I think he's great. I learned a lot from him. I trained in London with Dr. Salahin, who has an ontological um, kind of modality.
Mhm.
It's very similar to what Jeff does, actually.
Uh-huh.
Um, so that I try. I've had different types of mentors and coaches.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Most recently, I spent 10 hours with Steve Hardison, and uh, that was a big wake up call as well. That was another upgrade because we always just upgraded, right? It's a
Yes.
mountain with
Upgrade,
no
upgrade,
top,
upgrade. Yeah.
like Steve says. Yeah. Um, what was the question?
So we're kind of talking about what a coach is and how
Okay.
being coached has changed you.
Yeah. So I get different coaches and different teachers depending on as I upgrade. I get different, but everybody is teaching me something.
Yeah.
Everybody who triggers me is teaching me
Yes.
something that I should be looking at, definitely. So I'm always learning, and everybody has that capacity.
Yeah.
Uh, it's just the willingness to say it's not them, it's inside of me. It's not.
Right.
You don't say it's not them, it's me, and then you start blaming yourself. Something is wrong with me. Why am
Right.
I triggered? It's my fault. Go into that guilt and self-blame. No, not that way. Because I fell into that for a bit.
Yeah.
Uh, so now you're judging yourself, right? You used to look at them. Now you
As the
just turn
villain, and now you're the villain. Right.
right.
Yeah.
So no, it doesn't have to be that way. More of like, oh my God, I'm trying to upgrade. I have an opportunity to uh, get better.
Get more free, right?
Right.
Expand. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So everybody can be your teacher.
Mhm.
And for me, having a coach helps me with what I don't know that I don't know.
Yes.
Because I know the things that I might be working on or that I need to work on and stuff like that. But there are things that I don't know that I that I need to work on. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And I could do that with my coach.
Mhm.
A lot of time I would just say that I don't have anything planned for our call. I don't know that I don't know is what I want to work on. And we just talk and something. So we just meditate and we're like, if something whatever it is that wants to reveal itself to me, please do so.
Right. Wow. Yeah.
And there's always something.
Yeah. I like to say we always have a back, all of us have a back to our heads, right? Like that we can't see. There's
Right.
there's stuff back there, right? We can't see. And so it's so nice to have somebody else, right?
Of course.
See
Of
it for
course.
us. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
My favorite thing about working with a coach is having somebody else hold me in a space while I'm doing inner work. Maybe I could do the same inner work on my own, but there's something about having somebody else as a neutral presence that helps me do it without shame.
Mm.
Right. And I make it a practice not to use shame as like self-punishment, but it still does come up. Right. And so I find that when I'm speaking with somebody else who's holding this loving presence with me, it makes it could be the same inner work, it could be the same lesson, I could be looking at the same stuff, right? But it helps me maintain um just an environment of love for myself, right? While I'm
Mm.
going through whatever it is that I'm
Mm.
seeing. And so I know you've spent, like you just mentioned, you spent time with Steve Hardison. Tell me about let's talk about being for a few minutes. I have you here and we know we're both like being nerds. Um Tell me about Steve's being or what you learned just from his being, right? And I can fill you in. I've only been around him one time, but I can fill in holes about my experience too.
What I love the most about Steve, I mean, I love Steve.
Mhm.
What I love the most about him, like what he does that I haven't seen anyone else do this far,
Mhm.
is him always being him, no
Yeah.
matter the situation and no matter who's around.
Uh,
He just does not forget that he is a creator.
yeah.
And um, he he is just so anchored in
Mhm.
himself. You know, he's unshakable.
Yeah.
And even if he does a little bit, he quickly comes back.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he almost he's kind of he's always himself. He's always creating and he's always excited. And he's
Yes.
always, you can tell how much work he's done on himself. I mean, you've read
Yeah.
the book and
Yeah.
you know his story and you know where that he's come from, a lot of trauma and um, uh, circumstances that are not very favorable.
Yeah.
Um, but he's worked through those not only to come to this peaceful place,
Mhm.
right, like the monks do, but
Yeah.
he took it a step up
Right. Right.
where he is fully created. You know,
Yeah.
he's fully in his power.
Yeah.
He doesn't just default to things. He realizes, you know, I had a conversation with him last week and he was saying we don't we were actually talking about dry rain. You know, JP talks
Uh-huh.
about,
Yeah.
him and JP actually came up with dry rain together. And we were talking about dry rain because I had a question. I texted him, I was like, I got this question and it's bugging me and maybe you can help me. You know, what does it mean when I say I am it and I am a mountain with no top? If I am it,
Um,
I am it and I am a mountain with no top. It's confusing me,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So he said, call me if you have a few minutes. I asked him, I was like, is this dry? Is this a dry
This is
rain?
dry rain. Right.
And he replied, yes, absolutely. Call me. Let's talk. So I
Yeah.
called him and we talked for a bit. And, uh, you know, we were talking about this thing of duality, of two things
Being
happening
true
at
at
the
the
same,
same time.
being
Yeah.
true at the same time,
Mhm.
where it can get confusing.
Yeah.
Um, I am it. I am it. So this is where I'm coming from. And I am a mountain with no top.
I will keep on my inner, that's what it means is to, when you have a mountain with no top, you're going to keep climbing this on this inner work journey, right? And you're going to keep up leveling and keep growing and keep learning forever. There's no top, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, so you found um these two truths, right, that resonate with you. And you're like, "Wait," and you're like trying to fit them together, right?
Yeah, I was confused because
Yeah.
they sound opposite,
Yeah. Which is perfect. They're the two
which is
sides of the coin. Yeah.
right. It's two sides of the coin, but like your mind is like my mind I couldn't wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
And then I got it, you know, I had this, then that's when I realized, oh, I am the universe and I am the stars.
Right. Right.
Um, I am I am the universe holding space for all these stars, and I zoom in to each star, and I can be, you know, I can
Yeah.
be the star of anger, I can be the star of
Yes.
powerful, I can be the star of loving, I can be the star of you know, whatever.
Hard on
I can be,
myself. Right.
I'm brilliant, right? Like those
Yeah.
are all
Yeah.
those declarations. I'm
Yeah.
brilliant, that's a star. I am that I'm being angry, that's a star.
Yeah.
I am being, and then when I zoom out, I realize that I am the space holding all these stars.
Yes.
And so I am this the universe and I am the stars.
And
I
so being able to hold both of those, that's what gives you agency to make choices,
Correct.
right? Yeah, that's when you can say, "Wait, do I want to play on the anger star?" Right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And if while if the anger, this anger comes up, holding, you know, remembering that I am the space holding, it's also my star, it's also my child, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
maybe this star is showing up, you know how like stars get brighter before they
Before they
transform or
die. Right.
disappear, right?
Hmm.
So maybe this star of anger is brighter right now, calling for all my attention,
Yeah.
because he wants to dissolve, because it's the end of it, right? So
Yeah.
if I kind of like ignore it and ignore it, it's not that it's
Mm.
gonna stop shining. It's still gonna shine. It's gonna be
Yeah.
there in the background,
Yeah.
right? Annoying me,
Right.
trying to pull me. Uh, and I'm gonna ignore it and try and do things, but it's still there. So from this place of grace, knowing that I am the universe, I am gonna be the grace of the universe and the star of the anger, just holding space of it for it. And then once that, and it dissolves, and then I from there I create, right? From there, a new star is born, right?
Right.
So
Or
if that,
three.
or
Right. Yeah.
three, exactly.
Mhm.
So if
Mhm.
that anger was I am that I get offended, for example, or people offend me, or people don't like me, or right,
Yeah.
then and then as it dissolves, the new star that shines is I am uh, I am pure love,
Right.
or
I'm friend to everyone. Right.
I'm friends to
Something.
everyone.
Yeah.
Something, right? Something
Yeah.
is born.
Yes.
Um, so so that's for me. That's my understanding of being as of last week. Yeah, we had this
Right.
conversation last
It'll upgrade continually.
Sunday. Yeah, it keeps on upgrading, and my document keeps on upgrading.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had this conversation last week, and that's where I get to.
Amazing. I'm so glad you shared
Yeah, thanks for
that
asking.
story with us. The a couple times you've mentioned that our feelings or ourselves are um what the parts of us, right, are our children. And I love that. This week I've been playing with this idea of adopting your. So first I started out with, I'm going to adopt my inner child. And then I was like, but I don't just have one. Like in internal family systems, they talk about all the different parts of ourselves, right?
Mhm.
And like you said, a new part comes out, it's time. And I love this idea of adopting them, right? And like when I'm with my children and they're having a big feeling, I do my best. I'm not perfect at all, right? But I do my best to bring my loving presence
Mm.
to them fully, right? And so what if we all did that? Like you said, to all the things that come up in us, right? To all the parts of us that have different desires, right? What if we adopted all of them, and we realized that we were expansive enough to do that, and we had enough love. Every time I had a kid, I would worry about the other kids I already had because, oh no, I'm gonna have less love, like it's scarce or something. And out
Mm-hmm.
comes another kid, and I expand again. So isn't that the practice of inner work? That's like this practice of adopting all of these little children.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I love that. That's for me, that's grace again. That's why I got the grace tattoo here.
yeah,
It's, with grace, we can do all of this.
yes,
Um, it's interesting you said that. I don't think I have enough love to give to another child.
yeah.
Um, and that's not, every time you have three children,
Right. It expanded.
it
Yeah,
expanded. Yeah.
exponentially, because then I'm watching them love each other.
Uh
It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. The universe has way more love than I could even imagine. It's not just me. It doesn't, and that's the thing, it doesn't all have to come from me, right? Or,
it
yeah,
comes through you.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a beautiful way of looking at it.
yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, tell me about, as the last thing, um, I know, we talked about your inner work journey and you being coached. Why do you love coaching, right? What's so amazing about being a coach? What's great about it that keeps you doing it?
So I have a very curious mind, right? As I was saying before, and I'm very curious about how people got to where they got and how that can be transformed
Uh-huh.
um, with their own commitment, right? Like I always say, I don't have the power to change you.
Mhm.
That has to come from you. I'm fully committed to you. If Are you fully committed to you?
Yeah,
Um, because that's what it requires. Because
yeah,
I don't have the power to go inside someone and show them or change them.
yeah.
Uh, it's it's interesting because this thing of value, right?
Hmm.
Steve shared this thing with me also last week, and he said, um, look at it as a diamond with different facets.
Uh-huh.
And what came to me from that is we the main thing we all struggle with is our worth, right?
Hmm.
And our value, the the value of a diamond actually.
Right.
And every story leads back to that.
Yeah, yeah. The core
Every
of every, yeah,
Exactly. But it's the words that lead you there. That's why it's different facets.
hmm,
So you always gonna get to I am valued, or I am good enough,
yeah,
or I am worthy,
yeah,
or that's what it's gonna come down to every time.
mhm,
And I am it. I am that.
yeah.
You that's the truth you're always gonna come back to every
Uh-huh.
single time.
Yeah.
The route though to it is different every
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
And for each one of us, the journey of life is discovering the different routes, like the different
Yeah,
facets of this diamond,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you might, for example, one of the beliefs might be people are always trying to offend me,
Uh-huh.
right? And that's going to lead to I'm not valued,
Right,
right? But
right.
first you have to uncover that the story you have is people always trying to offend me.
Yes.
And then it could be another one, which is um, people don't appreciate me.
Yeah.
So from an outside perspective, you might be like, well, they're the same thing.
Mhm.
but your being doesn't see them as the same thing.
Right, right.
You know, the words are very important and specific to your being and to
Mhm.
that facet. And so as you uncover a story each time and you upgrade each time,
Yeah.
you're led back to I am it, I am that, you know, that the
Right,
wholeness of that
right,
diamond.
right, right.
Uh, and so it's fascinating to me, always uncovering that one. That's why I'm, you know, coaching to me is all about asking questions, to be
Yes.
able to hear and listen to the
Mhm.
words the person is using, you
Yeah.
know, because otherwise you just be like, listen, you're valuable. You see this all the time. You see it in affirmations all the time.
Right.
Just say, I am valuable, I am valuable, I'm valuable. No, it's not working. It's not resonating. It doesn't mean anything to me.
No, you have
I
to uncover our individual beliefs, right?
correct.
That's, yeah, yeah.
And they're all these
Individually,
like,
each one.
and
Right.
they're all children, right? That want to be seen, you
Right.
know.
Right. They
So
are.
once you see them and you hear, oh, I see you. What do you got to say? Oh, I got to say people are offending me.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Let's sort that out. Right.
Let's sort that out. You know, what if, what happened? Oh, no, 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 right? And this is how I got here. Okay, is that true? Is that 100% true?
Right.
How about this? How about that? How about that? You know, and that little child's like, oh, okay.
Mm.
They don't offend me. No, oh my
Right.
God. They value me. Yes. Okay, great. Yay. You know,
No,
and
it's
then,
it's working backwards. I say we always get a redo. We form beliefs. That's why they seem such like children, because we were probably younger than 7 when we formed them. We formed
right.
them our whole lives, right? But the core ones, the ones that have the roots the deepest, right? Were
Yeah.
formed when we were very young, and they live in us, right? We don't have to name them, have the language conscious to live in those beliefs. But when
Yeah.
we make the language conscious, that's what you're meaning, right? We need the specific language that we used to form them, right?
Correct.
And when we,
Absolutely.
we when we use the language, we can get on that path, right? That
Yeah.
we use to make a lot of times it's a misunderstanding about the world, right? And we just I am so amazed that we always get a redo, right? We can find that path where it hurts, and we can make a new story, even with the same language, right? Flipping the value or flipping the meaning or expanding from that negative to seeing the negative and the positive, right?
And that's the power of us as humans. We have the choice, we have the ability to decide that we can go and look at that path.
Yes.
That. So see this. That's when the universe nudges you. You know, like for me, when I hit that wall, the universe
Yeah.
is like, "Hey, there are things you're gonna look at, right?"
Right. We're gonna look at these things now. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I could have not made that choice,
Uh-huh.
right? I could have just said, "I'm just gonna hang out here in LA and my voice when my voice comes back, just go back, get a job,
Right.
uh, and do that."
Yeah.
So, but we always have that choice.
Yes. Yes.
And that's free. That's our freedom as human beings. That's the difference between us and animals, right? We
Yeah.
have that consciousness and the ability to make that choice.
Yeah.
And you know, that's why I was saying, us as coaches, we can't force anyone to make that choice. The
Right.
person has to
Right.
be like, okay, I want to look at my path and make some changes. I'm ready to do that. And from
Yes.
there, we can help them, but we cannot force them to make that initial decision. Has to come from the person. Otherwise, I don't care how good you are of a coach, it's just not gonna work out. It's not gonna
And
work.
you're
That's
right that
that's
you have to choose to be in it, and I um have named myself recently the Epic Life Midwife, and I just kept seeing myself as a midwife. Like, I can't birth for you. Something new is asking to come through you,
mm,
right? And
yeah,
when it's a baby, you don't have much of a choice, it's going to come out. But we're so good at holding all of it in.
yeah,
New things want to come through us, and our whole lives we're so practiced at resisting it.
yeah,
And if I can be there with you and hold your hand or rub, whatever it is, right? give you some insight, tell you what I see on the back of your head, right? In
Yeah.
places you can't, you know, get to. I'm super practiced at uncovering exactly what it is that might be, through your language might be hurting you, and making it uh you know having somebody there as a coach, right, is what gives. I've experienced it. I know you've experienced it. We watched other people experience it. It it's like finally having, I wanted to say bravery, but it's almost like freedom, right?
Mm.
There's something about humans when we hold each other's hands, right? To do the hard thing, to
Yeah.
look at the hard stuff, right? To go on that journey that's going to take you exactly. It's funny. Everyone ends up exactly where they've always craved to be, right? Isn't that like we do the inner work and we're like, oh, I always wanted to feel that way, right? And then you're like, yeah, that's what, it's been taking
Yeah.
you where it's been taking you home this whole time, right?
Been trying to, like, the thing you crave the most is what you already are. You just kind of like just have to like
Right.
clean that fog, clean that
Yes.
window, but it's
Yes.
already there. I love the epic, what is it, the epic life
Epic
midwife.
life midwife. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. uh and you're so great, Heather, at holding space and making people feel safe, and holding their hands and walking that path with them. It's, for me, it's so easy. It's so easy to talk to you.
Oh,
uh,
thank you.
yeah, it's so easy to just be vulnerable with you and uh, not hide.
Yeah. Isn't that a wonderful secret to know that like it's safe here?
Yeah, yeah,
I feel like it's a secret that people don't know, that like it's safe here,
yeah,
not just here with me, right? But just
yeah,
here, you
yeah,
know? And it's all these misconceptions about the world that we create that have us living in this fear all the time. Um, but it really is. Humans are great. They really are. And
yeah,
it's such an honor to work with them and to help them remember their greatness.
yeah, yeah. It's all about remembering.
Yep. I
uh
just remind. That's what I tell people all the time. I'm just reminding you. You know, you already
yeah,
knew. Yeah.
Rumi says what you seek is seeking you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just like, that hump, like, that can be a little hard in the beginning, but it's things that are necessary in life, that, like, we need to take a shower, we need to eat,
Mhm.
we need to work out, we need to wash our cars, we need to wash our homes, we need to clean our homes, right? We need
Mhm.
to do laundry. It's that maintaining things. So look at it the same way. You need to maintain your spirit as well, and your mind. You gotta take the trash out. You
Right.
gotta you
Back to
gotta
the
clean your temple.
taking the garbage out. And then I want everyone to experience what it feels like to have the trash taken out and to get an idea about what they want to create in the world and to just say yes,
Yeah.
right? Because once the trash is taken out, and we gather more trash every day, this is not, it's like we said, the mountain with no top, right? But once the trash is taken out, right? Or at least a bunch of it, then then you can have this experience where you just get inspired to do something, right?
Yeah.
And with ease, you can say yes, right? So getting to that place of peace, that's like the monks. They practice that peace all the time, right?
Hmm.
Peace, 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 peace. They're pros at it, right? That's what they do.
Yeah.
But to be able to get to that place of peace and then have an idea of what to create in the world and to just say yes, right? And to go for it. To me, that's where coaching will take you,
Hmm.
right? The
Yeah.
freedom to do anything, anything, anything. That's like being fully alive, right?
Yeah.
Being able to say yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That creation, that's like that next step, right? I was talking to Philip Bartu about this actually, which is pain, peace, creation. The
Yeah.
truth is we always created, right? With
Right.
subconsciously, consciously. But that third step that I'm talking about is creating consciously from a place of peace. Uh, and the monks are the monks, right?
Oh,
That's what
they're amazing.
that's
Yeah.
what they do. But that's what
Yeah.
they do all day long, right? They're isolated. They're in the mountains. They don't have to deal with what we like. We
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
not
Yeah. Yeah.
doing life like we are.
Right.
They don't have kids. They don't. They're just meditating all day long, and that's their purpose for in
Yes.
this
Yes.
life.
Yes.
And they're it's great
We
because
can all learn. Yeah.
we can all learn, and they're available to us to go to them and have a taste of that.
Yes.
Uh, for the rest of us who don't live in those ashrams and temples and all of that, we can also practice that peace, and we can create
Right.
uh, something more for them. They create, that's what they're creating, that
Yeah.
space that they
Yeah.
hold for or share with all of us.
Yeah.
uh, for us, we just get to play differently.
Yeah.
Ramdas said, if you think you're enlightened, go spend a week with your family.
No top. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And what a bummer. I sometimes think, what a bummer to be enlightened. You know? Like, I like to be human. I like the duality. I
Yeah.
love being alive. And I love that you know, um, Tat Nich Han, I forget, always mess up how to say his name. He got asked one time, maybe he wrote a book on it too. If you, what do you think heaven is like? Like what do you think it's utopia is like, heaven. And he's like, we're here. And they're like, what? He's like, I would not want to live in a world where I didn't know pain, because then you wouldn't know joy or bliss so I don't wish away suffering,
Mm,
you and I think that's we don't need to be. I think we look at enlightenment as this spiritual place where we just sidestep suffering all the time, like don't have it anymore. But what if we just loved life exactly how it is?
mm,
You know, what if we just were so happy to be here and so happy to play however this world requires, right?
mhm.
Just, yeah, who said, maybe it was Ram Dass, the world is perfect, including my desire to change it. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, me wanting, to create here doesn't mean anything's not perfect. Me wanting to change doesn't mean I'm not perfect. Right?
Right.
This is the playing. This is the game. This is living. Yeah.
It's those two truths at the same time, right?
Yeah.
I am perfect and I want to change it.
Yeah. That's freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Tony Robbins says, if we don't grow, we die.
Mhm.
Um, and I am it, and I am a mountain with no top. I am perfect, and I want to change the world. And
Yeah.
that our ability, that's evolution, right? The,
Yes.
it's nature. The universe nature is to expand.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's perfect today and it's going to be different tomorrow,
right.
right? Change
And
is
it's
constantly.
changing. It's
Yeah.
changing right now. It's perfect right now, and it's changing right now.
Yes.
The universe is always expanding. It's not getting smaller.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, did you watch that new movie that just came out on Netflix, The Adam Project,
No, the Atom Project, I'll look it up.
with Ryan Reynolds?
I just watched his other movie, Free Man.
Oh my God, Heather, you're gonna love it.
I'll look it up.
It's he basically comes back from the future and hangs out with his, I think, 10-year-old self.
Oh, is it a cartoon?
No, it's an actual movie.
It's a real movie. Okay. I'll
Yeah,
check it out.
it's amazing because it's got a lot of things. The exchange between them reminds me of what we're talking about, like the inner child talk, and
Yeah.
uh, it's absolutely amazing. You're gonna love it.
Yeah. Well, I'll check it out and give you a review.
Yeah,
Well, I'm going to wrap us here. It's been over an hour. We love to talk. Thank you so
I know.
much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. We could talk for another 3 hours.
I'll stop the recording and we can.
uh,